My name is Aderemi Adekunle, an English teacher, and you will never guess where I grew up. Shakespeare Walk. So I'm sure we can all agree that I was destined for literary greatness. Now, despite my loud proclamation of my name this evening, admittedly, it was once a source of embarrassment. I was born and raised in London to a Nigerian father and a Cameroonian mother who migrated to the United Kingdom in the 1980s. This makes me a first-generation British individual. My parents were proud of their culture. They spoke their language, kept their traditions, and carried home with them in their hearts. I'd like to think I was a helpful courier between the two worlds they occupied. One of my chief duties as a respectful son was to go to Dorset Market, East London, and purchase the international calling card that allowed them to connect with home. No flexi minutes, no WhatsApp, what a time. Then came December 2002. I traveled to Cameroon for the first time. For how long, I hear you ask? 1 whole month. Yet, upon arrival, my grandmother's jubilation was juxtaposed by my somewhat interminable tears. You see, in my young mind, it was a punishment. A world without KFC, Sky TV. What I failed to realize and appreciate was the richness of the red earth under the glowing sun. The laughter of cousins who embraced me like a long-lost brother. The sweet aroma of roasted plantain that drifted between the streets, and the richness of community where there were no closed doors, only open hands, open arms, and open hearts. Cameroon was and is breathtaking, but I was too young, too Western in my thinking to appreciate such. What I mistook as an inconvenience was in truth an invitation to explore myself in a way that I had never done before. As my childhood progressed, this quiet struggle continued. Could I ever fully embrace my African heritage in the way that my parents did? Or would I only express it within the invisible British boundaries that I had created? This internal tug of war was an unequivocal indication of my fractured sense of self. Cultural dissociation is defined as the internal feeling of being alienated and detached from one's identity and culture. I was ashamed of my surname. I wanted to exchange Adekunle for Anderson, ancestry for acceptance. But this is not just my story. In an increasingly globalized world, thousands experience this internal struggle. We move countries, we form friendships, we start families, and yet culture can fade into the noise of adaptation, which then begs the crucial question, where do I belong? Perhaps this is relevant to you. Here we are in this beautiful performing arts center in the melting pot that is the United Arab Emirates, a land of opportunity, diversity, growth, and constant movement. Parents, you have children who may already be studying abroad and look forward to studying further abroad. We delight in their global exposure, but how do we ensure that they remain rooted, connected? How do we ensure that they become evergreen trees of cultural pride, whose low-hanging fruit others can see and admire? Because the threat of cultural erasure is real. Assimilation, when it goes too far, results in what psychologists term cultural bereavement, the grief of losing one's roots. So in a world of extremes, in a world that prizes uniformity, how do we protect our individuality? For me, it began with a journey that unfolded through two guiding principles: intention and inspiration. Intention. Belonging is learned in talk. Our speech is not neutral, neither is it dormant. It is actively shaping who we are and how we are. In his work on cultural identity and diaspora, cultural theorist Stuart Hall reminds us that identity is not fixed. Instead, it is a production, a process of becoming. Every conversation we engage in either erases or affirms parts of us. When I think back to younger Remy, I realize how easily silence can become surrender. Surrender to a version of culture that was frozen in the past, in my naivety. So we must speak our culture into being. Now, you may be in a position where you don't know your national language, but what's stopping you from learning a greeting, a phrase, a few words? Here's a Nigerian proverb for you. If you go a-fishing and catch nothing, do not lose hope. At least you have known the road to the river. Even the attempt connects us. It says, I know the road to my roots. Inspiration. I want you to take a moment to think of that individual in your life who is unapologetically themselves and proud of where they are from. Why can't that be you? The next generation is watching. My children frequently remind me that cultural pride is caught more than it is taught. And one of the greatest joys that I've experienced as an educator in Dubai is witnessing the pride of Emirati culture amongst our student body. That sense of heritage, tradition, and belonging is amazing to see, and is a reminder that cultural pride can be both humble and powerful. But this cultural visibility is not just taking place on school corridors, it's happening on screens. Technology now acts as a bridge and a mirror. A bridge connecting us across continents, allowing us to exchange our language, music, stories, and a mirror that allows us to reflect back that which we've chosen to show. Our challenge is to ensure that we use technology not just solely for cultural consumption, but for cultural creation and amplification. To post, to speak, and to share from a place of pride and not pressure. Because cultural belonging goes beyond the limitations of a passport. It is the act of knowing, understanding, and embracing who you are, where you're from, and who you are becoming. My surname, Adekunle, means the crown fills the house. For many years, I wanted to lay that crown down. Now, I wear it with gratitude. So your culture is your crown, not a decoration, but a declaration. So wear it high, and let it serve as a reminder, a brilliant reminder to the rest of the world that even when the winds of change blow, you remain rooted and grounded with your cultural crown there for all to see and admire. Thank you.